Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being here at the Center for Strategic and International Studies today. My name is Andrew Schwartz, and I'm CSIS's Vice President for External Relations. And I have the pleasure of introducing this gentleman, Dr. Rob Sobhani, who is known to many of you for various things that he's done. He's done so many things. But we're here today to talk about Rob's new book, and we'll get to that in a minute. Rob is president, as you know, Rob is president and founder of Caspian Energy Consulting. He founded the company in 1991 to specialize in negotiating projects for clients with business interests in the Middle East and the former Soviet Union. Until 2005, he was an adjunct professor at Georgetown, where he taught courses on U.S. foreign policy and energy security. There are scores of people who have taken Rob's classes throughout Washington, and I often meet many of them. Dr. Sobhani is also a frequent contributor to op-ed pages of U.S. newspapers. He's frequently quoted. He's also appeared dozens and dozens and scores of times on domestic and international television and radio broadcasts. Besides his professional and academic background, Dr. Sobhani sits on the board or is affiliated with a number of organizations, including Mohawk Innovative Technologies and Washington Capital Partners. Rob is also a member of the bipartisan committee on the present danger. But as I said, Rob is here today to talk about this wonderful book, King Abdullah of Saudi Arabia, A Leader of Consequence. The book is so excellent, and not just because you can do curls with it. It's a heavyweight book for what's in it and for physically how much it weighs. And on the way out, normally we always have somebody at CSIS selling books, and you can pick them up. But today, through Rob's graciousness, he'll be giving away these books back. So please get your copy before you leave. These are wonderful books, and I think you'll find inside them is a treasure trove of rare photos, insight and thoughtful research and journalism on just this leader of consequence. And I think with that, I'll let Rob tell you more about his great book, and following Rob's remarks, we'll take a few questions and answers. Thank you so much. Rob?
You want to speak from here?
You can, wherever you want.
You may think I have a different version. It's the same version. It's the covers. If you open up the cover, you'll find the green in there. You know, I'm working off this one. It's good to be here today. I want to thank CSIS for putting this event together. I'd like to have a special thanks to my good friend Dr. Fariborz Gadar, who brought this event to CSIS and suggested that we do it here, and I thank Fariborz for taking the initiative. I want to also thank Andrew for your kindness and your remarks, and Allison, wherever you are, thank you very much for putting it together. So I thank CSIS, and there are a few people I also want to thank. If you like the design and if you like the cover, you can thank the folks at Xanthus Design. I cannot proceed without mentioning their kind efforts in designing this, and also the myriad of numbers of people that I met in Saudi Arabia, whom I talked to, and I thank them, because this book also is about them. So I wanted to thank them as well. Why did I write this book, I suppose? You know, everyone asks, you know, why did I write this book? Let me give you an anecdote of why I wrote this book. It was the 2007 OPEC summit, and I was privileged to be in the hall where all the heads of state were meeting. And true to form, Hugo Chavez and President Ahmadinejad got up, and for half hour each of them were ranting and raving, and there came a very critical point where they were shifting the entire debate from using OPEC and the dollar, as a basket of currency, the dollar and OPEC, and moving it to the euro. And at that moment, King Abdullah, very quietly but very firmly, basically shut them up and brought the discussion back to where it belonged. And it was at that moment I was listening to that and looking at that I realized, you know what, this guy's different. This gentleman is different. He has done something consequential. And so I took it upon myself to write a book. And as I got on the plane, I decided to do a little more research, and I found one of his speeches that he gave in Mecca. on the occasion of the Organization of Islamic Countries. And in that speech, if you read it, and it's in my book, he talks about a Muslim renaissance. He talks about a new beginning for the Muslim world. And once again, it reiterated for me, reconfirmed for me, that King Abdullah is different. And he certainly was changing the tone and tenor of the debate within the Muslim world. And so I decided to write this because as I started writing it 2.5 years ago and as I got into it, I really came to the conclusion that what King Abdullah does matters. What King Abdullah does matters. And that's really the theme of this book. Whether it's in energy security, whether it's fighting Islamic extremists, global economic recovery, the future of Iraq, Afghanistan, Yemen, what King Abdullah does matters to the world. Yes, the President of the United States, the President of Russia, the President of China. But King Abdullah also matters, and matters enormously. And that's why I decided to write this book. Now, let me just put this in historical context. Saudi Arabia has always been an important ally of the United States. From that moment when President Roosevelt and King Abdulaziz sat on that boat together and forged an alliance, Saudi Arabia has always been part and parcel of foreign policy, U.S. foreign policy. But I would venture to say no Saudi leader has ever transformed Saudi Arabia to the extent that King Abdullah has. He has done what no other Saudi leader has done before, and that's what makes him unique. Yes, Saudi Arabia is the world's central bank of petroleum, has the largest reserves. Saudi Arabia is home to the 2 most holiest sites of Islam. Saudi Arabia is the heavyweight of the Arab world. But what makes it unique and makes it different is who runs Saudi Arabia, and it's King Abdullah. And let me just run through 6 things that I think makes King Abdullah so different. And I'm going to go into it very briefly because I'd like to get an interaction and questions and answer. The first, I believe, very important, is the dialogue that King Abdullah has started, both within Saudi Arabia and outside. And I'll get to this in a moment. His dialogue projects. The second, in my opinion, the empowerment of reform-minded individuals and technocrats with vision today are running Saudi Arabia. Third, King Abdullah has taken it upon himself to challenge the extremists and their rhetoric. And this is unique as well. He has the courage, and I like to emphasize this, he has the courage to stand up to the extremists and use their rhetoric against them. Fourth, Saudi Arabia is, in my opinion, the leader in the Middle East of the arc of stability versus the arc of instability fostered by Iran, the regime in Tehran, Ayatollah Khamenei, Ahmadinejad. And the example of that, as I mentioned earlier to you, was visual, clear at the OPEC summit. Fifth, Saudi Arabia's reforms under King Abdullah have made the system more transparent. Saudi Arabia's stock exchange today, the 10th largest in the world. And I would say, as an American citizen, if I had money, I wouldn't put it in Citibank. I'd put it in Saudi Arabia. Very simple, because I don't trust Citibank, but I would trust the King of Saudi Arabia more than I would trust Citibank because of the reforms that King Abdullah has instituted in Saudi Arabia. And finally, sixth, and most important, or equally important, I should say, the king has emphasized education and building of universities and schools as houses of wisdom. He uses that word, and that's very, very interesting and liberating. He talks about universities as houses of wisdom, not just to go in, learn something, and come out. These are, from the perspective of King Abdullah, houses of wisdom, and that's very, very important and very key.